Delhi and Delaware County team up to fix up the park and pool. Middletown Board tackles topics from township plans to emergency issues. Roxbury Constable Steve Williamson takes medical leave. These are just some of the headlines this week. Welcome to CatskillsAir. I'm Jessica Murphy with your latest local news. Joining me, of course, is the amazing Matt Avitable, editor and publisher of the Mountain Eagle and Catskills Chronicle. Welcome, Matt. How are you doing?
Not too bad. A little bit warmer than last week, and glad to have you back.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's get to the news. Delaware County and the town of Delhi are going to work together to repair and improve the town's pool and park. Matt, how are these two entities hashing things out, and what's the funding for these kind of fix-ups?
This one came up at the last Town of Delhi meeting. Supervisor Maya Bukai said that the town will work with Delaware County to help put out a request for proposals, or an RFP, regarding a major environmental protection fund grant opportunity. County contract's going to cost about $6,000, which is about 10% of the work, and the remaining hours would be worked by county employees and would help to meet the local matching requirement. The hope is that this money would be used for the park and pool expansion project over the next several years.
Over in Middletown, the Board of Supervisors handled several issues from planning surveys to emergency services. So Matt, sum up for us what was discussed.
This one was an interesting meeting. They covered quite a bit. They got an update about the comprehensive plan. There's going to be a survey ready to be distributed, according to Councilmember Robin Williams. Public input meeting has already been scheduled for Wednesday, March 25th at 5 p.m. at Union Grove. There's also been candidates for the code enforcement officer position. We saw an update from Councilmember Nelson Delameter. One candidate is enrolled in code enforcement courses, the other is not, though the second individual has construction experience. In addition, there was discussion about communication during a winter storm. After the last big storm, Supervisor Glenn Faulkner requested that the full Emergency Preparedness Committee meet to review operational responses. Councilmember Brian Sweeney seconded the idea and said that a concrete plan should be implemented and has not been done in ages. The full committee consists of Faulkner, Delameter, Steve Finch, Clerk Sarah Hubble, and more. A full list is on the cover of the Catskills Chronicle this week.
A lot of chatter was going on about Roxbury Constable Steve Williamson going on some sort of leave. Matt, do you know what's going on with Officer Williamson?
We have part of the story. There's going to be more that's going to be released. One of the last things that happened was that Constable Williamson passed his physical. That was a major bone of contention. But the town has been pretty mum about it. And while we had a chance to talk with Williamson, he wound up sharing as much as he could. But as of right now, it looks like this leave is going to continue, and we're going to update it regardless of what happens.
Well, our best wishes go out to Steve and hope he's well enough to be back in that saddle soon. Denver water system is undergoing costly repairs. Reporter Mary Crisafulli covered the recent Roxbury board meeting. Matt, what does this $1.25 million project include?
This one's pretty comprehensive. The plan is to replace all water meters. Only 9% of the meters are working right now, and they were last replaced in the 1990s. The typical battery life is supposed to be about 20 years, and some of these meters are now pushing more around 30 years old. The project is being funded in part through an EPA grant. That's about 80% of the cost, and another 20% is going to be provided by a local bond. District users are going to be responsible for pay back that bond. In addition, this is going to help control costs and controlled water usage. Speaking as someone who helped run a water district in the past, this should be very helpful for both the town of Roxbury and the members of the Denver Water District.
Hancock residents again questioned the local board about an ongoing deal to give stone waste to the hamlet. Now, this article is in the Hancock Herald, Matt, so what's the issue here?
It's on the cover of the Herald this week by Kristen Barron. It all happened at the February 3rd board meeting as Hancock town officials were again faced with more questions about the role of Johnson & Rhodes Bluestone Company of East Branch hauling and donating stone waste fill material starting this past summer. Former town supervisor Sam Rowe, who is planning to run for the position again in the primary this spring, claimed that friends on the inside from the Department of Environmental Conservation, or DEC, had told him that the agency has classified the wasteful material as solid waste and that the determination will set in motion a series of regulatory actions. He said that now once it's declared solid waste, that opens this thing up to all departments in the DEC. But town officials said that they had yet to be notified of any determination, and current town supervisor Jerry Renaud said that they had not heard anything from DEC about solid waste. We're going to find out more in the coming weeks.
The Hancock Herald also reports that voters in 16 districts threw their support to the new BOCES building project. Now, Matt, this is a more than $44 million project, so what does that mean for our communities?
An overwhelming result. Over 73% of voters passed Proposition number 2. They're going to acquire the former Masonville Elementary School, which also passed with about 71% of the vote. The hope is that with the reconstruction and addition project, there's going to be updates to the Herald campus in Sydney Center, the Pole campus in Norwich, as well as the purchase and work at the Masonville Elementary School. Project's just getting started. About 90% of the project will be eligible for state aid, and we'll be reporting more as it continues.
Bovina council members talked roads and equipment repairs at their February meeting. Mary had this story too, so what needs to be fixed or bought?
This one happened at the February 10th meeting of the Bovina Town Council. They had their needs brought up by Highway Superintendent Edward Weber. One of the major elements of discussion was to replace the 1990s roller that the town has. A new roller is about $200,000. Rentals would cost between $3,900 and up to $55,000 a month. The hope is that they would be able to utilize the equipment for about 4 months out of the year. He also said that there was a potential full-time employee that could fill a long-time vacancy. He also requested surplusing a 1990s John Deere tractor and a sidearm, some 19-inch tires, and a 1997 Freightliner. Sounds like the highways were the top discussion over in Bovina.
Tragedy hit Gilboa as a family home went up in flames. Matt, what caused this fire and was anyone hurt?
Cold weather has caused a lot of frozen pipes. I can tell you from experience, one family attempted to heat their attic space with a salamander to defrost those frozen pipes. We wound up having Stanford firefighters getting the call around 10:45 as smoke and flames started to engulf this house on Bailey Road. The fire chief, Donnie Van Etten, arrived quickly. A number of different agencies and departments arrived, and the house was saved, but it was damaged.
And Matt, it seems the Red Cross was there to help that same house. Do you have any details on that?
Absolutely. The Red Cross announced that they were helping both residents of the house after that fire on Bailey Road.
And the Red Cross does rely on donations, so if you'd like to support their local work, go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. While we're talking about recent fires, the Stamford Fire Department has responded to 5 fires in the first 6 weeks of the new year. Other area fire teams have also been very busy. Reporter Liz Page spoke with Stamford Fire Chief Don Van Etten about some cool tips to stay safe during this harsh winter weather. Matt, Chief Van Etten had some sound safety advice to share.
There are a few people in this county with more experience than Donnie Van Etten, and our own Liz Page, who has decades of experience on the Stamford Fire Department, interviewed him. There are quite a few things, including going back to that fire between Gilboa and Stamford on Bailey Road. Don't use a salamander to defrost the pipes. Just don't. A lot of times people use something like a hairdryer or hot towels. Frozen pipes have been very prevalent. But that being said, a lot of overheating tends to happen because people are trying to meet the need. This happens with boilers, stoves, sometimes hot water heaters. Check your chimney for creosote buildup if you're burning a lot of wood. Clean it every year. There's over-the-counter creosote cleaners you can buy that help with this. There's also pellet stoves that should be checked as people use them, especially if you haven't used them in a long time. And there's a lot more that Liz wrote up in her interview with Donnie in this week's paper.
The Village of Hobart is benefiting from the Community Alliance. Matt, there are some great photos in the Mountain Eagle. What are some of the concerns and projects?
We're going to have a lot more about this. In fact, our own editor emeritus, Carolyn Bennett, has been on the case. There's been discussion, especially after the terrible living conditions in the former Hobart Inn. The village board, led by the planning board, announced that they're going to update their comprehensive plan. Members of the alliance also agreed to spend money remaining in the holiday lighting fund to purchase 2 lanterns for the village. There's going to be a lot more as we report more from Hobart in the coming weeks and months.
And while we're on Hobart, the local Rotary honored one of their own with a prestigious award. Matt, talk about Dan Palm and why he received this honor.
We've talked about Dan in the past, and it's obvious why he's popular, and he's also put in a great effort, not only for local volunteering, but to be able to travel across the country. After his time in the military, he's also been to 427 of the 433 national parks in this country, including in American Samoa, and he's been to Antarctica. He's very well accomplished and has contributed so much to the community and the wider area for decades now.
Well, big congratulations to Dan. The Hancock Herald also reports that Wayne Bank is listed as one of America's best regional bank and credit unions by Newsweek. The magazine chooses financial institutions who are committed to strengthening local economies through small business support, community investment, and reliable everyday banking services. So big congrats to everyone at Wayne Bank. Looking at local crime, a Grand Gorge man was convicted and sentenced in Delaware County Court. Matt, we've talked about this grand larceny case before.
Shane Johnson, age 51, is back in the news. He appeared in Delaware County Court and was sentenced to 6 months in jail, followed by 5 years of felony probation supervision. This is after his conviction for grand larceny in the third degree, which is a Class D felony. This happened after an incident at Mountainside Creamery last February regarding a report of several items being stolen. More details and a recap of the case in this week's paper.
All right, thanks, Matt. Bramley Mountain Fire Tower is getting into a spring mindset. Oh, I love that. They're looking for volunteers. So, Matt, what does it take to be a steward? And tell us about the tower's history.
So depending on when you're watching this, it might be about 45 degrees this week, and spring is definitely in everyone's mind. The idea here is that Bramley Mountain, after its successful season last year, is going to be working on volunteerism. There's going to be help with managing the tower after its reconstruction, alongside a number of different agencies. If you'd like to get involved, there's more information in this week's paper.
There's a fun piece in the Catskills chronicled by Iris Mead. She discovered a hidden railroad in Margaretville. Matt, that's pretty cool. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. In fact, this is a really fascinating one for me because I happen to like model trains, and it appears from the photos that this is HO scale. It's a 20 by 20 model railway system with 4 mainline tracks, 400 feet of tracks, about 3/4 of the space beneath the sanctuary of the Presbyterian Church right on Orchid Street in Margaretville. If you want to check it out or join the Model Railroad Club, there's more information and contact. New members have dues of only $10 a month, and I would say it's worth it just to check out that set, notwithstanding all the good company and the model railroading experience joining the club would grant.
We've talked about this one a couple weeks ago, but the icy waters are now beckoning. It's time for another polar bear jump to help others. Matt, fill us in on this terrifying thought.
This is a program that I support fully, but I don't know if I could actually carry out myself. We're going to be covering the event at Goodyear Lake. It has brought in so much money over the years. In fact, last year brought almost $200,000 in. The hope is to bring in more than $200,000. It helps so many individuals. In fact, there's 11 children selected for aid this year. It has helped those with serious illnesses. Jamie Waters, who organizes the event with his wife, Brenda, are hoping to bring in those $200,000 to help those in need. There are few events more worthwhile than this one. I highly recommend getting involved. And if you don't want to get into the water, which I don't blame you, please consider donating or watch others jump in. We have a bunch of local participants this year.
Well, we'll have full frozen coverage of that next week. Sounds really cold. Kirkside Project has a fun event coming up, the Soup and Sip. Matt, that sounds intriguing, but I'm not gonna lie, I do know about this event and it's really fun. Can you tell us more?
A perfect thing to do in this cold weather. Like you said, you know about it in part because of all the help that volunteers have been able to put into place, including Peg Ellsworth and the Mark Project graciously agreeing to use the Kirkside Manor. It's not quite done yet, as we've been talking about in our news broadcast, but it is getting there and can support this great event. There's going to be homemade soups, wines, delicious dessert buffet. I would say come with an empty stomach. plan to arrive. There's going to be up to 14 soups.
Well, 14 soups, I am in. With this weather, it sounds good. Maybe I'll see you there, Matt.
Sounds good to me.
This next headline is a square dance in winter with a question mark. Now, a hoedown is always a blast anytime. Am I right, Matt?
It's so funny you said that because the headline has yes with 2 exclamation points. It is going to be a fun event on Saturday 21st. Catskills Folk Connection always has good events, but I think it's going to be especially good considering a lot of people have been cooped up for winter. And if you can make it at 7 o'clock in Bovina, there's going to be the Tremperskill Boys and a number of popular dances. If you want to see your neighbors, have a good time and dance, please show up.
Well, for more on these and other articles, pick up the Mountain Eagle or Catskills Chronicle. But Matt, before you go, what's in the works for next week's paper?
We're going to be covering the polar bear jump for one. Not going to be jumping in the water, but we are going to also have plenty of sports. There's going to be a new round of meetings. We're hoping to have some additional coverage of the Delaware County Board of Supervisors.
Well, thanks for keeping us all up to date, Matt. We will see you next week.
See you then.
And now it's time to talk sports. Here's John with the details.
I'm a Brooklyn Net basketball fan. Now that can be a difficult passion most of the time. Currently, my Nets are tanking. No, the Nets are not losing games intentionally, but in an attempt to position themselves to bring in a top collegiate basketball talent, management has intentionally constructed the team to make it very difficult for them to win. Currently, the Nets have 5 first-year rookie players on the roster. The Nets rookie 5 have an average age of 19 and 1/2 years, still teenagers. There's a huge learning curve for the first-year NBA players, almost guaranteeing the Nets will finish as the NBA bottom dwellers. Even though the rookie-strong Nets are failing repeatedly on the basketball hardwoods, I've enjoyed following the progress of the Brooklyn youngsters. One, a 19-year-old Russian named Yegar Yeoman. As the season evolves, Yegar has been a long-range shooting revelation for the Nets. During a post-game interview, Yegar explained the key to his shooting success. I thought his message was great advice for local kids, the guys and gals looking to improve their basketball games. Here's what Yeoman had to say. I've spent an incredible amount of time working on that in the gym, meaning shooting, of course. I've just been shooting a lot. That's kind of the key. To be able to run faster, you gotta run. To be able to shoot better, you just gotta shoot a lot at game speed and learn those habits. There you have it. From one teenager to another, if you want to be a shooter on game day, put the ball in the air a whole lot as part of your practice plan. There's a local Tri-Valley basketball storm brewing in the boys basketball world. The Mid-State Athletic Conference semifinals will pit number 2 seed Delhi against number 3 seed Walton Downsville. As preparation for the big game, WR went on the road, besting Oxford 57-39. Tyler Reed led the War Eagles with a 19-point effort. London Gardner added 16 with 3 3-pointers. Delhi would keep pace, blasting Owego Free Academy 67-38, running their current win streak to 11 consecutive games. The Delhi girls finished an undefeated Mid-State Athletic Conference regular season, besting Sydney 51-39. Rebecca Verspor led the Bulldogs with 15 points and 9 rebounds. The two teams will square off again in the girls' MAC semifinals. In other local boys basketball action, Gilboa Roxbury split a pair of contests, winning a critical game over Charlotte Valley 49-42, then dropping a squeaker to Wyndham 49-45. Anthony Maggio exploded, hitting 8 shots from behind the three-point arc while scoring 28 points for Margaretville, but Maggio's heroics would not be enough as the Blue Devils fell 62-43 to Stamford Jefferson. In local girls action, Stamford Jefferson crushed Margaretville 73-39. Charlotte Valley Skenevis surprised SK Andes 41-33, and Walton Downsville topped Windsor 46-28. That's our local sports report for this week.
Thanks, John. Back in November, we told you about a baby bear found covered with mange and extremely malnourished. Friends of the Feathered and Furry Wildlife Center is happy to report that the little girl cub is doing great in their care. She's chowing down, climbing trees, and exploring her outdoor enclosure. This is her first snowfall, and she's super curious about that white stuff. Having packed on quite a few pounds and playing in the snow, she's hitting her winter slowdown. She's naturally moving slower, eating less, and sleeping more while staying alert and awake in her den. Check out their Facebook page for more videos and photos of this adorable little cub. Now let's see what Elizabeth has in arts and entertainment.
I hope you're warm and comfy. Opening February 15th, and running to May, Schoharie Economic Enterprise Corps, SEEC, along with Schoharie County Arts, will present Echoes of the Earth, a fabulous new exhibition, a must-see. It will be paintings by Connie Mosher and mixed media collage by Kathy Caitlin, Main Street Schoharie. Paintings are fabulous. Bring your family, your children, introduce them to the wonderful artisans in our backyard. February 21st at the Bovina Community Hall, Bovina, 7 to 10 p.m. Catskill Folk Connection will bring the Tremperskill Boys. They've been around a really long time. They're fabulous for traditional square dancing, slow dancing, a wonderful environment to be in, to bring your whole family. And if you've never square danced, it's okay, because Jenny will be there, Jenny Shear, and she will guide you through the wonderful steps of square dancing, which if you're not smiling when you're done square dancing, I don't know what to tell you. Schoharie County Historical Society at the Old Stone Fort Museum, February 28th, Quilts of the Underground Railroad by Sharon Anarchy Atchison. This will be a fabulous thing to take your family to as well. Many people don't know the history of quilting, let alone quilting for the Underground Railroad, where the images and patterns and design and colors helped those trying to find safety and survive to recognize where there was a safe place. My house would have had a white blanket hanging with a particular pattern, and it would let them know, come here, everything's great. You'll be safe here. So this is a wonderful thing to take your family to and teach them a little bit about the history of where we are. And remember, if you or anyone you know is an artisan, a performer, or is somebody who wants to help promote those things, a venue, gallery, organizer, producer, director, please send them to me, BethMammy61@gmail, through CatskillsAir. Thank you again so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Go out there. There's always something fun to do. Just an aside, the Philadelphia Inquirer had a fun poke at Delaware County, New York recently. In an article about the real Delco, reporter Stephanie Farr compared Delaware County, Pennsylvania to our neck of the woods. While Delco, PA has Philadelphia, Delco, New York has a population of 44,308 and covers nearly 1,500 square miles. Both Delaware counties are probably named for the Delaware River that runs along them. They are 2 of 6 in the country. But the reporter boastfully points out Delaware County, PA is the first, established in 1789. Nonetheless, we're still Delco in our minds. Is the biggest chill in several years going to continue to freeze us? Let's see what the forecast says.
Good day, Catskill Mountain friends and neighbors. It's Lori with CatskillsAir, bringing you your weekly weather update for the beautiful, pristine, still highly wacky and unpredictable weather Catskill Mountain region. And folks, it's not April Fool's, but we have some fool spring heading our way for 3/4 of the country as the West Coast braces for epic snowfall. We're going to brace for a warm-up and some slip-slop in our flip-flops this week. So let's give it a go and check out what's happening in the Catskill Mountains for your weekend weather, and let's go. On Monday, President's Day, we can expect cloudy skies with the possibility of a peak of late-day sunshine. Temperatures on the rise to the upper 30s, winds light and variable. Overnight, we have overcast skies with floating flurries, temperatures dipping back to the low 30s, upper 20s in some areas, winds blowing out of the south-southwest at 5 to 10. On Tuesday, we have cloudy skies with temperatures reaching darn near 40 degrees, winds out of the west at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have cloudy skies and could see mixed precipitation starting to flow during the early wee morning hours, temperatures dipping back to the upper to mid-20s, winds light and variable. On Wednesday, we have freezing rain in the morning, transitioning to rain showers in the afternoon. Temperature highs throughout the day will reach almost 40 degrees with winds out of the south-southeast at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have rain followed by freezing rain and snow showers. Temperatures are going to dip back to the upper 20s with winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10. On Thursday, we have a chance of snow in the morning followed by cloudy skies. Temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 30s, winds out of the south at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have mostly cloudy skies with temperatures dipping back to the upper 20s with winds light and variable. And on Friday, we have cloudy skies with a wintry mix in the morning to the possibility of light rain in the afternoon. Temperature highs for the day will be in the mid to upper 30s, winds out of the south at 10 to 15. And overnight, we have a mix of rain and snow showers, temperatures dipping back to the upper 20s with winds out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10. As I bid you farewell, remember that weather and temperature changes on a dime, especially in the beautiful Catskill Mountain region. Be sure to join me, Lori, for your weekend weather update, because we got some surprises heading our way. So, be sure to join me from somewhere in the Cats.
That's it for CatskillsAir News. If you see something out there, let us know. I'm Jessica Murphy. Bye for now.